Welcome to the second episode of AVTV, and joining me today is Mark Tookey, a bit of a journeyman in terms of footy in different clubs both here and over in the UK, but great to have you here, Tooks.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Mate, tell us a little bit about your childhood. I did a little look on Wikipedia, and Tooks, you were born in New South Wales, mate. What's doing?
Yeah, I was born in Sydney, Penrith. I was there for about 4 years and then moved to Warwick, Killarney actually, and and I was up there for a little while. Went to school for maybe 2 years up there, and then moved to Brisbane, and pretty much been in Logan basically most of my life.
Now, living in Killarney, that might have been where the love of meat came from there. The big abattoirs there, and Rowan Hancock, the home of Rowan Hancock, former Queensland player.
Yeah, most of my family worked actually up at the abattoirs up the top there, and I actually even did some time in there working as well, helping out after school and on weekends and things like that. So, definitely love me meat.
So you said you moved to Logan, and Logan now is a massive area, a great rugby league breeding ground. Well, actually, not just rugby league, all sports. In that time, you've seen that place just grow and grow and grow, and just the amount of great sports people that have come out of the area is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. When I first moved to Logan, it was pretty heavily populated with Aboriginals actually, and they're gifted athletes in themselves. And then over the time, it's probably a little bit more multicultural. A lot of the Polynesians and even Africans have moved in there, but they're producing sport. It's a low socio-economic area, and a lot of really good sports people and good people in general come out of those hard times, and they appreciate what they've got and what they can get. So there's a lot of good sports people come out of there.
So how did you start playing footy, and what age did you start playing rugby league?
Yeah, I started playing when I was 4 years old. I was only a young fellow. My pop was coaching under sevens, my uncle was coaching under nines, I think, and I wanted to always be around the footy boys, so they got me going as soon as I could. There's probably a few good stories that I didn't play much footy when I was 4. I swung around the goalposts and chased shadows and things like that.
I think all the junior kids do that.
When I got to 7-year-old and I was actually in the under sevens, I was obviously a pretty good player back then, and just the love of the game. I haven't really stopped playing it ever.
And speaking about swinging around the goalpost, there's a rugby league field here on the Gold Coast down at Tugun. It's right near the airport, and you see the little kids, and then the planes fly over, and the whole game stops, and they're just watching.
That's like at Archer Field as well. Yeah, same there. Stop and have a watch of the planes.
So, when did you realise that you really love the game, and you started taking a little bit, a bit more interest in it and enjoying it more?
Yeah, I've always loved it. I used to play like 3 or 4 games a day. I'd back up for the next team and the next team type of thing, as much as I could.
Under 8s to under 16s.
Yeah. I think I played under 7s when I was 5, and then I'd play in the other 7s team, and then 8s and 9s. I think country footy, obviously, but probably in under 12s I made my first Queensland rep side, the schoolboys side, and then I started probably taking the game a little bit more serious and realising that I'm pretty good at something. Yeah. So that's probably when the penny dropped that I was all right.
Always a front rower, or did you play other positions?
Oh, well, I'd like to think of myself as a specialist front rower. Yeah, loose head and tight head front row, so you could play pack on both sides of the scrum. But no, I'm just a front row, mate.
And what, as you said, you made a Queensland side under 12s. What about when you, in the older age groups? I know you made a few more representative sides there as well? Yeah,
I made all the South Coast sides, and like South East Queensland there was back then. I went to Woodridge High School, so we didn't really make, we weren't very strong as a district at school footy. So we'd play against the Gold Coast sides, Palm Beach, Crumben and those boys, and they'd tell us up. But I made a lot of club footy rep sides, and then I got into the under 17 State of Origin side, and then the under 19s and junior Kangaroos and all that type of thing. So made all those rep sides.
So who any other named players came from your area when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm from Logan Bros, is my junior club, so everyone kind of knows Cam Smith, Corey Parker, Brad Myers. There's a whole list of them. Josh Papali. There's myself. Billy Dart was probably the first guy.
Big bad Billy Dart.
Yeah, he was our first guy out of the club. Went down to the Roosters, or Eastern Suburbs back then. But Lottie Takiri. There's heaps of them have come through the club. There's a little honour board down there, and I think there's probably 20 NRL players come out of there over the time. So.
And that's amazing. And as we said, the area is just growing and growing. Now, you end up playing for the South Queensland Crushers 96, 97. How did that come about, getting that gig there?
Yeah, that was really interesting. They formed a new club and they needed a Colts team basically, so I was just in the right place at the right time of that age group, and there was a real heavy development process that went on where they kind of recruited maybe 300 kids, and they cut 300 down to 150, and then they cut 150 down to 100, and you just have to kind of keep making the cut. We did all the testing, we did eye-hand coordination, fitness, speed, balance, all sorts of things, and lucky enough, just kept making the cut, and we ended up having a really good side. We won the grand final in 1996, the last President's Cup grand final, which is kind of the development process where we got to. So it was tough. It was tough going to get there. Once we got there, it was awesome. New club. And but there was a lot of superstars there too. We had the 96 State of Origin crew, Terry Cook and all those boys. So
Gilly was there.
Gilly, there's heaps of them.
Rowdy there.
Teven, Rowdy, Mario, Mark Cohn. So there was a lot of spattering of Queensland Origin boys.
Former Cass Tiger, St John Ellis.
Big Saint and St John Ellis was there as well. God rest his soul.
Good fellow St John. I remember I was saying before that first season he was going to score 35 tries, he said that year. But
he was an absolute lunatic, and even big Garrick Morgan from Rugby Union came over there. Mikey Ford's another pommy halfback as well. So
another good teammate of mine over the years, Ray Herring, played there.
Yeah, Ray Herring, for sure.
So what year did you play first grade?
I debuted 96. 96 at the Crushers against Western Suburbs. And it was funny, I actually debuted in reserve grade the same day. It was back when you had only two fresh reserves, and then so I sat as a fresh reserve for reserve grade for the first time, and then Bobby Linder said, I'm going to sit for NRL, and I thought, sit me there and not really play me for a while, and at half time he said, you're on. So I was like, a bit nervous, and it was a big day, and we had a win, which was very rare for the Crushers back then.
Were the family there to see it that day?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they were there, but they didn't know what was going on, and they were wondering where I was, and then I came out and sat on the bench when the NRL kicked off, so they were like looking and wondering what was going on.
What about work-wise? Were you working then?
Yeah, when I left school, I was working with a family friend who his mum and dad owned a business in the mining game. So I was actually on the drilling and blasting team out in the mines and quarries and things like that. Yeah, so we'd go and load up the holes and explode them up, and it was tough work.
Well, that's what I guess. But when we all came into grade, you had to work, and sometimes you do a 10-hour day and then train for 3 hours, and sort of time you get home, cook dinner or have dinner, is time to go on again. But you would never change it, because that's just, you didn't know any better, and sometimes I think some of the younger kids need to do that. They need to, and I know some do, don't get me wrong, but I just, it was a good learning curve.
Yeah, I think they're too elite too early now. I think that's the big problem. And even the drinking factor. We used to have a beer during the week, no problem after training, because you deserved it and earned it. You wouldn't have 10, you'd only have 2 or 3 and go home and get to bed, and do that a couple of times a week, where now they kind of binge a little bit. And that's probably, I think, one of the biggest problems in our society in the game at the moment.
And you definitely wouldn't drink on a Tuesday, because you knew that every Tuesday night basically was a floor session. And it was back then pretty tough. I think every club was the same, got flogged, and 400s, 800s, and didn't matter how well you played on the weekend. You knew Tuesday night was just the night you got flogged. And then you went from there to Para, is that right?
Yeah, Para Eels. Yeah, so the club actually went broke. We didn't get paid or anything like that, so it was probably pretty lucky. Whenever the Crushers played against Parramatta, we'd always played really well, and we ended up, myself, Clinton Tchaikovsky and Troy Pezzett, we all signed for Parramatta the same year. We all left there and went straight to Para. So very, very lucky and blessed really to get picked up by Para. It was a really good side that were down there, and I think that's kind of where my career actually kick-started. We had a lot of success, semi-finals and things like that, and to be playing with blokes like Jim Dimmick, Dean Pay, Jason Smith, Jared McCracken, and then even the young guys coming through was Nathan Kalis, Nathan Hindmarsh, me and Mick Vella.
And Rape was there.
And Rapes was our hooker. So, I was very blessed to be playing in a really good team.
And Brian Smith as a coach, he really broke the game down, didn't he?
Yeah, Brian Smith was. I still have Brian Smith down as the best coach I ever had. He did play a lot of mind games with you, but he did get the best out of you as well. So he's still the best coach I've ever had. But yeah, he to not win a grand final, I think he just reads the game too much and gets too intense with it all. And but yeah, he's a good bloke.
Yeah, because a lot of people I've talked to have all said that how he can break a game down and skill-wise just work on everyone's skill and get that skill level up, and and obviously hasn't been able to get that over the line in terms of winning a premiership, but he's been pretty successful as a coach.
Oh yeah, he's been very successful. He's won more games than he's lost for sure, but he just can't get that over the finish line.
And what you went there to the Warriors?
Yeah, so it's funny actually. That was where basically the rules changed from unlimited interchange to limited interchange. We're going to bring it down back to 10.
Yeah.
Brian pulled me aside for a meeting and basically said that the game's going to pass me by. I'm not going to be able to go with the changes. And I had an option on my contract to stay there for, I think it was 70,000 or 100,000 or something like that. And he said, we're not going to take up that offer. We don't think the game's going to pass you by. And I just said, oh, okay, not a problem. I spoke to my manager, and then I was lucky enough to get an offer from the Warriors with Hugh McGahn, and it's very blessed to get over there and be successful at the Warriors.
Now you're a bit of a fan's favourite everywhere you've been, and they love shouting Tookey, and on the different places that you play. But I think New Zealand might have went up to another level when you went over there, and certainly, and that's a good thing when you're a player and you know that the fans are right behind you.
Oh, absolutely. I think they recognised that I was not the normal player. I was a bit larger than life and slightly overweight, and I didn't take the game that serious, to tell you the truth. When I look back on it, I was just living the dream and going along for the ride. And I think they sensed that, and I'm a pretty real down to earth person, and I have a lot of time for all the fans because they make who you are. So I never had a bad word for any fan, and I had time for them in the shopping centres or wherever that was. They made who I am, and they've made who I am today. So I owe them a lot, and I think they just I was very no frills. I just ran hard and used my strength, my weight as my strength, and they kind of I liked it, I suppose.
And you made the grand final in the Warriors in 02, and first episode of AVTV we had Kevin Campion, who was in that same side. So you made that grand final, which must have been a massive honour for you. To you dream of playing in the NRL, but then you dream of playing in a grand final. That must have been such a huge event for you.
Yeah, that year was a bit surreal actually. The Warriors had never made. Actually, the year before we made it to the semi-finals for the first time and got knocked straight out, I think, by Parramatta in 2001, and then in 2002 we made the semis again. We actually finished minor premiers because the Bulldogs lost all their points.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but during the year, we beat the Broncos for the first time ever in the Warriors, and the fans, they're a one-team town. Then when you say that it went to another level with the cheering, they're one-team town. So everyone's heavily scrutinised. Everyone kind of knows who you are. So. And we just kept winning. We got a roll on. We thought we were bulletproof, and we had a really good mix of Australian and Kiwi boys and young and old fellas. Ivan Cleary, Campo, a lot of good old heads around the place as well. So we had a well balanced team. Daniel Anderson was the coach, and again he's one of the better coaches I've had as well. So everything was just working. We were bulletproof. We were confident, and. Few things went our way as well, like the Bulldogs losing their points. It was a crazy ride and really good to finally get to a grand final. Still haven't won an NRL one yet.
A lot of people haven't. We'll be back with part 2 of this interview pretty soon.